The U.S. Justice Department set to release nearly 6,000 federal prisoners by the end of this month. A third of those being released are illegal immigrants. But get this is just the first wave. Officials expect more than 40,000 early releases of for drug convictions. Now, officials are assuring us that the illegals will be deported and that the other prisoners will be supervised. But is that going to be enough? And how concerned should we be? Joining me now, Pinal County Sheriff Paul Babeu. Sheriff, I know.
Charles.
Nice to talk to you. By the way, we'll get a chance.
Well.
I'll ask you about your run for elected office. But first, let's talk about the president of the United States. And he visited a federal prison recently. He's been very outspoken on prisoners and terms. And I think this is a setup. We talked about 40,000 more prisoners, but I think somewhere toward the end of his term, we're going to see something historic with respect to how many prisoners this administration tries to release.
Absolutely. Barack Obama, Charles, has led the largest prison break in American history. 67,000 prisoners. These are criminal illegals that have been released onto our streets in America. And instead of visiting the prison to talk about how harsh we are with these prisoners, why doesn't he meet with Steve Ronenbach and Sabine Durden and Marianne Mendoza, whose children have been killed or murdered by criminal illegals? Why doesn't he meet with just one of them and hear their voice and their pain, American citizens, instead of trying to stand up for these illegals and stand up for criminals and quote their rights? It's outrageous.
Well, there's been a progressive movement for well over a decade. It was somewhat stealth. It's out of the shadows now, and there's no mistake. The big goal here is to get felons the right to vote, and I think there are a couple of states now they can do it. But ultimately, we're talking about another 3, 4, 5 million potential voters. A lot of people presume they'll be Democratic voters.
Of course, and you already saw this campaign that's been announced over the last few months. We're trying to get 10+ million illegals who are not citizens of our country the right to vote. And this has to be stopped. And we're going to give away all these privileges, which should only be enjoyed by legitimate citizens, people who have skin in the game here in America and who have earned that right.
What do you make of the notion that, we're talking thousands of illegal immigrants who have committed a crime illegally coming into this country, and then once getting here, committing additional crimes, that we are actually going to somehow supervise them or deport them with almost 300 sanctuary cities just waiting with open arms?
Right. It's not going to happen. I can tell you, you do not have to be the sheriff to figure this out. When last year alone, 193 convicted murderers, who, by the way, are not from America, were released into our communities, one of which, a Russian, right in my community in Pinal County, Arizona, who had stabbed a criminal informant, poured gasoline on him, lit him on fire while he was still alive to kill him, and they just released him instead of sending him back to Russia. And the lame excuse we get from the Obama administration is, well, we didn't have proper travel documents. This is insane. These
crazy.
guys should be criminally responsible for all these crimes that are committed against our citizens because they knowingly release them into our communities.
Sheriff Babeu, before we go, I got to ask about your run. What office are you running for and what's the reception been like so far?
It's been outstanding because I'm an oath keeper. Any promise that I've made, I've kept. And that's a novel concept for those who run for office. I'm running for Congress in Congressional District 1, which is an open seat. It's a pickup for us to go from Democrat to Republican. And I ask any American who wants to defend our Constitution, stop this president and secure the border, go to sheriffpaul.com and help me raise the money to fight and to win.
Sheriff Paul, I appreciate everything that you do. We thank you for your service and good luck with your run. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Charles.